Hello, my name is Katrina Erwin, and today I will be discussing disasters and tourism. First, let's discuss how the tourism industry deals with disasters. The hospitality industry understands that it is always at risk for potential disasters. Therefore, in 2006, the tourism organization created the Tourism Emergency Response Network, or TERN.
TERN was created in response to the December 2004 Asian tsunami, which killed at least 225,000 people, several thousand being non-Asian tourists. The tsunami demolished resorts and left popular tourist spots surrounded by debris. The disaster put into perspective the fragility of the tourism industry. TERN is a network of interdependent organizations, where each TERN partner works to achieve the same goal: to make travel and destinations safe for tourists. In order to achieve this goal, TERN members are regularly invited and participate in simulation exercises in the area of risk and crisis management, because the most important part of tourism and disaster is the response section. Members also attempt to mitigate the impact of natural man-made disasters on tourism and coordinate and communicate their efforts to other TERN members. An example of the importance of mitigation and response would be when Nashville's popular tourist destination, the Gaylord Opry Resort, was hit by a disaster they did not prepare for in 2010. Tornadoes had always been at the top of the Gaylord's hazard analysis, but never quite worried about flooding. As a result, the 2010 Tennessee flood, which was a once-in-a-100-year flooding event, caused the hotel to suffer from devastating flood damage, leaving parts of the hotel 10 feet underwater. The hotel's recovery process took about 6 months, so it could once again be open to customers. Now that we have discussed how the hospitality sector deals with disasters, let's discuss disasters and their effect on tourists themselves. During hurricane season, also known as the Caribbean's off-season, hotels offer summer sales. Tourists looking to save money on their next vacation will often choose to book during off-season to save money, but end up being faced with a hurricane. Hurricanes during vacation can leave tourists trapped on an island with no way out, and due to language barriers can be very confusing to them, as it is with other disasters as well. Thankfully, Hurricane Pass can be tracked 3 to 5 days in advance, giving tourists time to cancel their trip or leave their vacation earlier than planned. Although in most cases, it is very difficult to get a flight out of an area awaiting a disaster. The popular tourist destination of Lombok Island, located right next to Bali, as well as Bali itself, is very prone to earthquakes and has suffered many in recent years. But that hasn't stopped tourists from traveling there. Just last year, Bali and Lombok were hit by a 6.9 magnitude earthquake, killing about 259 people, and it caused substantial damage to islands, putting many tourists at risk. Tourists are also susceptible to terrorism. Last year in Egypt, 4 tourists were killed and several were injured from a bomb blast that struck a tour bus on its way to visit the pyramids. This year, a luxury resort in Kenya was the subject of a terror attack by the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. 21 people were killed. Finally, let's discuss how disasters affect the economy. The tourism industry accounts for about 10% of global GDP, supports over 200 million jobs, and has potential for even further growth. In recent years, the world has seen more man-made disasters, and natural disasters are getting worse. Therefore, disasters affect the tourism industry in a variety of different ways. Some areas solely rely on the tourism industry to support their economy. Therefore, the recovery process of popular tourist destinations are sped up and put first. For example, New Orleans post-Hurricane Katrina. New Orleans' French Quarter brought many financial benefits to the city, and with the destruction caused by Katrina, it put a halt on their tourism industry. New Orleans put a lot of money and effort into its tourism sector's recovery process, and only 8 months after Katrina, their tourism industry was up and running. However, this came at a price. While the tourism industry and its financial benefits had fully recovered, many low-income areas were still reaping the effects of the disastrous storm, and still had a long way to go in their own recovery process. Areas that solely rely on the tourism industry for their economy often leave their lower-income citizens out of the recovery process and tend to the recovery process of their tourism industry first. Areas prone to disasters, or ones that are still recovering, will sometimes see a decline in travelers. Ironically, sometimes disasters can bring about even more tourists than ever before. For example,
Some tourists will go to California in hopes of experiencing an earthquake, while others will go to old disaster sites such as Chernobyl. This is called disaster tourism, and it has become very popular in recent years. In sum, disasters affect the tourism industry in many different ways. Therefore, emergency planning and recovery is crucial to the success of the tourism industry. Thank you.